Welcome to Juck on Bucks, a wacky Friday, February 9th. 3 weeks of Bill O'Brien's employment at Ohio State as the offensive coordinator ended today as he took the Boston College head coaching job. Sayonara Bob. Drama's over. More than half of his 3-week tenure was filled with nothing but the drama. Get it out. Onto the contingency plan. And the contingency plan is the perfect plan. And it's the one we all were to pick from the beginning, I'd imagine. Most of us anyway. I certainly would. Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, the legend. Chip Kelly, the man who was offensive coordinator for Ryan Day when he was a player at New Hampshire. His mentor in the business. Goes out, coaches under Mike Bellotti at Oregon, and then takes the program over and turns it into the dynamo that it became, making 2 national championships, one under his predecessor, but he built the program to what it was. Coached guys like DeAnthony Thomas and LaMichael James and Jeremiah Masoli and Dennis Dixon into household names, made them all. Chip Kelly, a true offensive innovator, and it gets the mind just flowing as to what he could do with the 2 best running backs in college football at Ohio State. A quarterback coming in who isn't the most accurate passer in the world, but he can run like a gazelle and he can truck people. A wide receiving core that's, maybe takes a slight fallback, but just for a little bit while we wait for, a little experience to develop. And they got plenty of time to get that going as it's pretty weak schedule early in the season. The possibilities. I mean, it's just running through my head. The news just broke. Chip Kelly, a bit of a curmudgeon, kind of like Bill O'Brien. Doesn't quite have the same Big Ten-y kind of feel or the Big Ten-y kind of power run. I don't care about that. We can be flash. We can do it all ways. They can call us soft. They can call us whatever they want. But they can look at the scoreboard at the end of the day, and the Buckeyes are going to put some points on the board again. Interestingly enough, last night I was looking. Remember last year when we changed the rules of the clock and we were getting a couple less plays a game? It was really irritating me, and it was really irritating me that Kirby Smart was the guy who sat on that board. He was the president of the board that made that rule, or pushed for that rule to be made, and he was justifying it. And I'd liked Kirby Smart up until that point. I think he's a great coach and a great leader. But when he started saying that he was supporting that, I was so furious. We were like 66 offensive plays a game. Like, it was insane, and it felt to me like the quarters were going by so fast, and I couldn't figure out if that was in my mind or if we were just, horrible offensively, which at times we were last year. So I went back last night and I was looking up the past year, the year before that, offensive plays per game for the Buckeyes. Where do they average in the country? And I'm going to share all that with you. But what makes it so interesting is that we were 93rd in the country last year at 66 plays a game, and I was thinking, I wonder if with Bill O'Brien, that's going to change, if we're going to get that up. I think it's safe to say, with Chip Kelly running the offense, we are going to have more than 66 plays a game and 93rd in that category. That's without a doubt. So I wanted to start the show today with C.J. Stroud winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Congratulations, C.J., an ambassador to the program, a wonderful kid. Everybody loves him. I got a mea culpa to make to him because I was a bit of a shitty fan when it comes to C.J. Stroud, and I just didn't understand him. So I'm going to get into that. But an unbelievable Friday. Welcome to the show. You can go out and do whatever stupid deals you want to do, the most ridiculous buyouts in the world, and we won't even care. You'll get a total pass. You'll get a pass. Give us our jerseys back. It's our birthright. We deserve it. And maybe you should just sit out and listen. So, of note in that Chip Kelly conversation, plays per game. It's one of his main tenets. It's something that's in his DNA. And while the Buckeyes are not going to be running Chip Kelly's offense, Chip Kelly's going to be calling the plays. And it's just part of who he is. He wants to get plays per game up. So last year, Ryan Day was complaining early in the season about the rule change, the clock change, that was bringing offensive plays per game down. And I remember that it was irritating me as well, but I never went back at the end of the season and looked and saw how much did we lose plays per game. So we actually lost as a whole, college football, 2 plays per game as a whole due to the clock change rule. The Buckeyes specifically lost 2 plays a game. So they really didn't lose anything. They were right there where they were the season prior. In the season prior, they finished 93rd in plays per game. And last season, they finished 93rd in plays per game. And it's not good enough. If you want to take it back a little further, back to 2018. In 2018, they averaged 82.5 plays a game. Last season, 66 plays a game. And the line in between of the graph is straight down. So consistently every year, they're getting less and less offensive plays, less and less opportunities. It's a trend line that definitely needs to stop and get going the other way. And I think we got the perfect guy to do it. As a point of reference, all of college football in that time period from 2018 has gone from roughly, we'll take the 50th place team, went from 74 to 70 plays a game. So the 50th place team every year, 74 in 2018, 70 last year, and the line follows Ohio State's line. So everybody's losing plays a game. The Buckeyes at 3 times the amount of lost offensive plays, lost opportunities, an area that I really was hoping we would see improvement in coming into the season, and I think we got just the guy to do it in Chip Kelly. Such an exciting day. And last night, what a night. C.J. Stroud wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Cam Hayward, Buckeye great, wins Man of the Year. For the Browns fans in the crowd, and I know it's not everybody, but bear with me, Myles Garrett wins Defensive Player of the Year. Joe Flacco, Comeback Player of the Year. Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year. And Jim Schwartz, Assistant Coach of the Year. And the biggest honor of all, Ohio State linebacker Randy Grandichar, elected into the NFL Hall of Fame. The 7-time Pro Bowler was the greatest linebacker Woody Hayes ever coached. According to Woody, he finished 6th in the Heisman in 1973 from a linebacker position. He was one of the big-time members of the Broncos Orange Crush, and just a solid dude. Really loved listening to him talk last night. Congratulations, Randy Grandichar. C.J. Stroud gave a speech last night after he won Rookie of the Year. And, of course, in that speech, he thanked Ohio State, Ryan Day, and some Buckeyes, which he does in every single speech he gives. He has become such an ambassador to Ohio State football and is such a wonderful thing, and I was so wrong about him. I was not just so wrong about what I thought he would be in the NFL. I thought he'd be a good quarterback. I didn't think he'd be a great quarterback, and I certainly didn't think he'd be a great quarterback year one. And I think the most impressive stat that he put up this year, and he broke a ton of records, but the most impressive one was being the leader in yards and in touchdown to interception ratio. And the only 2 other quarterbacks who have been number 1 in those 2 categories are Joe Montana and Tom Brady. Like, I don't care what stat it is. If you are finishing number 1 with Joe Montana and Tom Brady as the other 2, that just blows my mind. As a rookie, it's mind-blowing. It couldn't be more perfect. And hey, do these NFL things matter? I mean, yes. Do they ever? And you look at the offensive and defensive rookies of the year that the Buckeyes have had come out of Ohio State in the last few years, it is just bizarre. It is just amazing. Joey Bosa, 2016 Defensive Rookie of the Year. 2017, Marshawn Lattimore. 2019, Nick Bosa. 2020, Chase Young. 2022, Garrett Wilson. 23, C.J. Stroud. I mean, you want to talk about recruiting. There's not quite anything that is going to help recruiting quite like this has. It is just absolutely brilliant. Congratulations to all our big Buckeye and Browns winners last night. I was so wrong about C.J. Stroud. I was so incredibly wrong, and I don't even mean C.J. Stroud, the NFL player, the NFL Pro Bowler, the Rookie of the Year. I don't mean C.J. Stroud, the great player. I mean C.J. Stroud, the individual. I was so irritated with Ohio State's offense through times under C.J. Stroud that I let my irritation kind of seep in to judging him as a young man in the wrong way. I thought he was a crappy leader. I thought that his defensiveness at press conferences and his defensiveness towards criticism wasn't him caring so much that he was bothered by that, but I thought it was him not caring at all. I mean, I was so wrong about this dude because the more I see of him, the more I realize how wrong I was. The more I realize what a great leader he actually is, and that his style is just not something that I can relate to as a big mouth. It just makes me feel like a jackass. I mean, I just feel like such a jackass because the guy had such a great career. He lost to Oregon very early in his career in a game that the defense was just atrocious. He lost 2 games to Michigan. We know that. In the game he lost to Georgia was one of the greatest games I've ever seen a Buckeye quarterback play. So no fault of his there. But I just didn't get to enjoy him as much as I should have or wished I would have because I was so turned off by the way I thought he went about things, which was totally wrong. I was not only wrong to do it, but I was wrong to think it. So, feeling like a real schmuck, but hey, you got to identify things to get better. I learned a lesson. I learned a lesson from C.J. Stroud, and I could not be happier with the guy he is in the NFL, the ambassador he is, and I couldn't be happier that I was wrong. And boy, was I ever. And I know I wasn't the only one. And if you were wrong, you can join me. And if you were right, I wish I'd have listened to you because there was plenty of people in Ohio State world that were saying, this guy's awesome. This guy's great. He's a great leader. They all love him. I didn't see it. I thought he was quiet. I thought he was standoffish. And it was more, he's insular. He's an insular leader. He doesn't want anybody to see it, but when you do see it, when they do sneak the cameras in there, in the NFL, and you get to see him talking to the Texans, you get to see him with D'Amico Ryans, you get to see him last night with Will Howard, everybody around him loves him. They just love him. And it's so sad that team didn't beat Georgia and win it all. It's so sad. And, it makes me feel bad, man. It really does. But couldn't be happier for the dude. And if you were someone who was wrong like me and has gone full circle, I know you know exactly how I'm feeling about it. I feel like a real fool about it. We live and learn and get better. And to get better and make myself feel better, I make fun of my rival. In hilarious news today, Michigan AD Ward Manuel, the butt of all of their jokes up there, is now the head commissioner of the College Football Playoff Committee. Ward Manuel is seriously the butt of all their jokes, the guy who's taken all the heat for Harbaugh leaving. They think it's all Ward Manuel's fault. Harbaugh wanted to stay, but Ward Manuel wouldn't give him what he wanted. Well, what did Harbaugh want? He said he didn't want Ward Manuel to have the power to fire him. He wanted a 3-man panel, and that they couldn't base the firing on, rule infractions, punishments coming down. Essentially, if he got suspended, or they couldn't fire him based on that. He was asking for ridiculous things because he didn't want to be there, and everybody can see it but them. So Ward Manuel gets the brunt of all of their anger, all of their ire, and this guy is now definitely staying on the job, which is funny because they hate him. But in not so great news, he made an excellent hire today. Ward Manuel hired Wink Martindale to take over the defense from Jesse Minter. Now, I thought that defense was going to crumble. It's not, because Wink Martindale, 10 years under John Harbaugh in Baltimore, basically designed the defense that Michigan's running. Mike Macdonald left Baltimore and went up to Michigan to bring that defense up there. And then Jesse Minter also came from Baltimore to take over from Mike Macdonald. So now you got Wink Martindale, the senior guy of the three of them, now coming over and keeping it rolling. This should help them keep some potential guys that were going to transfer from leaving. And you got to think that it's also going to help Martindale being such a vet. It's going to help Sherrone Moore. Sherrone Moore is, a guy I don't have a whole lot of hopes for based on having to build this staff and start from scratch. I thought when they turned it over to Strummer that it was the right thing to do. You wanted to keep it rolling, and he was the best way to get that done. But then when we saw the strength coach, the defensive coordinator leave, the defensive line coach leave, I'm like, wait a minute. If this was the case, you should have gone out and hired out a house. You're basically tearing the whole thing down. But bringing in Martindale, absolute perfect hire for him. And I'm sure Ward Manuel is not going to get any credit for it because he's from the Harbaugh tree. But he still had to get it done. And if they hate someone, I love them. So kudos to you, Ward Manuel. Very nice hire. But there is something that the college world is not paying attention to, and I need to shed some light on it because there is something going down in Athens, and we all need to be paying attention. And I don't mean Athens, Ohio. I mean Athens, Georgia. Georgia today signed a tight end out of Stanford, an awesome tight end who looks like he's going to be able to do a little bit of what Brock Bowers was able to do for them. The guy not only can catch, but he can run the ball. 10 rushes for 140 yards last year at Stanford. All Pac-12 player. He's big. He's beefy. He's a grad transfer from Stanford, so we know he's smart. Of course, they also signed the number 2 running back in the transfer portal class in Travis Etienne from Florida. They signed a top 3 wide receiver in London Humphrey from Vanderbilt. They signed 2 other wide receivers, one from USC, one from Miami, who's absolutely enormous. They signed a beast defensive lineman in McLeod from South Carolina, a safety from Alabama. And you know, we know that they were in big on Caleb Downs trying to bring him in. And the problem I got with all this is I think Georgia's trying to buy a championship. They now have 7 transfers. Ohio State only had 6. Georgia has 7. And you just heard the list of these guys. These dudes are awesome. They're trying to buy a championship. And we need to sound the alarm and let everybody in the college football know. Or this is just how big boy college football works now, and you're all a bunch of morons that were saying that about Ohio State. Or that. One of those two. Anyway, we're rolling into the weekend here, and I will be here for Saturday and for Sunday, because today marks week 2 of my new college football show, Juck on Bucks. I'm a Buckeye fan. I'm not a news guy. I'm not a media guy. I'm not an insider. I'm just a fan, and I just come on here and talk about the Buckeyes. And if you like it, and if you're one of the couple of people that subscribe, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm having a delightful time doing it. It's one of the most exhilarating parts of my day. I'm even studying the night before to say what I'm going to talk about the next day. It's been a pretty entertaining process for me, and I'm having a ton of fun doing it. So thank you so much. I'll continue to do it as long as you continue watching, and we'll have fun here every day with some Buckeye news. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.